The whisper of Legend's space was silent, cold, and endless. In the middle of this darkness, a small patrol ship drifted near the edge of an old star system. The pilot, a young alien named Karel, sat in the cockpit, staring at empty space. She was bored. For the last 6 hours, nothing had moved. No ships, no signals, not even space dust. Just another quiet day, she said to herself, sipping a cup of blue tea. Her ship's AI, named Zero, beeped softly. Status normal, it said. No signs of activity. Karel leaned back in her seat. She was part of the Galactic Alliance, an empire made up of many alien races. Her job was to patrol dead zones, old places from past wars, now forgotten. This system was called Red Echo. Long ago, it was a battlefield. Some said the last human warship disappeared here. But that was just an old story. Humans were gone. They had vanished centuries ago after their great war with the Alliance. No one had seen a Terran in over 300 years. Some said they died out. Others said they ran away. But to Karel, they were just a myth. Then the radar beeped. Karel sat up straight. Zero? She asked. Unknown object detected, said the AI. Size, large. Direction, inbound. Karel frowned. Show me. A red dot appeared on the screen. It was moving fast. She zoomed in. The ship had no signal, no flag, and no ID code. Just a black shadow flying through space. Is it a ghost ship? She whispered. No life signs, said Zero. But power is active. The ship grew larger on the screen. Soon, she could see its shape. Long, sharp, and dark like a sword. Karel's heart beat faster. Scan it, she ordered. Scanning. Match not found in Alliance database. Possible origin. Terran. Her eyes widened. That's not possible. The ship was huge. 10 times bigger than her own. Old in design, yet somehow more advanced. It had no lights, no sound, just quiet power. Karel stared. Her hands shook slightly. She tried to contact the Alliance, but her signal was blocked. Zero. What's happening? Systems unstable. The object is releasing a field. We are being jammed. Suddenly, a message appeared on her screen. The words were old Terran code used long ago during the war. A voice followed. Deep, calm, and human. To the one who listens. We never left. Karel's breath caught in her throat. What did it say? She asked, though she already knew. The radar glitched again, then stopped. The massive ship had disappeared from the screen, but she could still see it right outside her window. Then something even stranger happened. Dozens of small shapes moved around the big ship, like drones or fighters, but silent. They formed a pattern, like they were watching her. Karel swallowed, hard. Zero, record everything. Send backup message to base. Unable to send. All signals blocked. She had never felt so alone in her life. And yet, she was not afraid. She was curious. This ship, this ghost, it was not here to kill her. Not yet. It was watching. Maybe testing her. Karel whispered. Are the legends true? She remembered. Stories her grandmother told her. Stories about humans. How they were not the strongest or the fastest, but how they never gave up. How they fought wars they were supposed to lose. And won. Some said humans were monsters. Others said they were heroes. But all stories agreed on one thing. Humans changed everything. Karel looked at the ship again. Maybe they were not extinct. Maybe they were just waiting. Then just as suddenly as it had come, the big ship turned. Without a sound, it slipped back, into the darkness, leaving no trail, no signal. Karel sat there, frozen, staring into space. After a few minutes, Zero spoke again. Object gone, systems returning to normal. Karel didn't answer. Her eyes were still wide. Her mind was racing. She leaned forward and whispered, I saw it. It was real. A legend had returned, and she was the only one who knew. But for how long? Contact Karel. Couldn't sleep that night. She kept seeing the ship. The massive Terran cruiser floating in space like a sleeping giant. No lights. No sounds. No warning. And then, that voice. We never left. That message had burned into her mind like fire. She spent the next 2 days going through her flight logs, checking every frame, every scan, every word. But something strange had happened. The recording was corrupted. All data related to the ship was missing or scrambled. Her ship system had no record of the radar signal, the voice, or even the ship itself. "Zero," she said, frustrated. "How can this be?" "Unknown," replied the AI. It is as if the event never happened, but Carol knew it had, and someone, or something, did not want the rest of the galaxy to know. Carol sat alone in her quarters staring at a star map. The ship had vanished near Red Echo, but its direction suggested it was heading toward a forbidden zone known as Sector 17. No one went there. Old maps called it the Silent Sea, a place where ancient wrecks floated like bones. No signals ever came out, and no patrols were allowed in. Official records said the place was empty, but Karel had a feeling, a very strong one. She opened a hidden panel in her ship and pulled out a stolen key, an old Alliance override code. She had once used it to explore old ruins during her academy days. It wasn't legal, but this wasn't about rules anymore. This was about truth. She whispered, "I'm going in." 3 days later, her ship entered the edge of Sector 17. The silence was different here. Thicker, heavier, even Zero's voice sounded lower, slower. "I detect hundreds of inactive vessels," the AI said. "No movement, no life." Carol looked out the window. Ancient ships floated everywhere, broken, dead, frozen in time. Some were Alliance, others were unknown, and one was human. She saw it, half buried in the wreckage, a Terran frigate. Old but intact. "Prepare docking," she said. "Warning," said Zero. "This action is not authorized. Do it anyway." Her ship latched onto the frigate with a loud clang. The airlock hissed open. Karel stepped inside. The inside of the Terran ship was dark and cold. Dust floated in the air. Everything was old. Rusted panels, broken lights, ancient writing on the walls. But the power core was humming. Something was awake. As she moved through the corridors, she noticed writing in English, human language. Some of it was scratched into the metal as if done in fear or anger. One message stopped her. "We watched them fall. We held the line. We are still here." She touched the words gently. "How old is this?" she whispered. "Estimated 327 years, said Zero. Then she reached the control room. The lights flickered. A console turned on by itself. A hologram appeared. And there he was. A human. Not real, just a recording, but his eyes seemed to look right into hers. He was tall with gray armor and a long scar over his left eye. His voice was calm, but heavy. "If you are seeing this," he said, "then we have returned." Karel held her breath. "They erased us from history," the hologram said, "but they could not erase the truth. We never left. We waited, hidden, silent, for the day someone like you would come." Karel stepped closer. "You are not Alliance," he continued. "Not fully. You question. You feel. That is why you are here. And now, we ask for your help." Carol's heart was racing. "My help?" The hologram paused, then said one final thing. "The galaxy is not ready for us, but it will need us. Soon." The screen went dark. Then the power shut down. Karel rushed back to her ship, her mind spinning. "Zero," she shouted. "Did you record that?" "Yes," the AI answered, "but encryption is impossible to break. This data is not meant for us." "Then who is it for?" she whispered. Before Zero could answer, the ship shook. An alert flashed. Inbound object detected. What now? She ran to the cockpit. A new ship was approaching, faster than light. Sleek, silent, black. But this one was not human. It was Alliance. "Incoming transmission," said Zero. A voice came through, cold and sharp. "Pilot Carol, you are ordered to surrender immediately. You are in restricted space. You are accused of treason." Carell's blood turned cold. "They know." "Run," she whispered. "What?" "Run," she shouted. "Full power. Jump now." The ship powered up. Space twisted, stars blurred. But before the jump, just for 1 second, she saw something in the shadows. Behind the Alliance ship, far away. Another Terran cruiser. Watching. Silent. Waiting. Ghosts of the past, the stars were still, but Carol's heart was not. She had escaped, for now. The Alliance would hunt her. They would call her a traitor. But she didn't care. She had seen the truth. The Terrans were real. And they were watching. She drifted through space for hours, hiding inside a nebula cloud. Her ship was quiet, its systems recovering from the emergency jump. Outside, lightning from the gas storm lit the sky in strange colors. Blue, purple, red. Inside the ship, Carell sat in silence, holding a small chip in her hand. It was from the Terran frigate, an old memory crystal. It might hold the answers she needed. "Zero," she said. "Run analysis." The AI responded. "Data is protected. Encryption level. Human military grade. But there is a fragment we can read. Play it." The screen lit up. This time, it wasn't a message. It was a video. The footage showed a battlefield in space. Huge ships fighting. Terran and Alliance. Explosions. Screams. Chaos. But the humans, they didn't run. They fought with fire in their eyes. They lost ships, but never stopped. They were outnumbered, outgunned. But something about them felt different. Unstoppable. Then the camera turned. One man stood on the deck of a burning ship. His armor was cracked, his face was bloody. But he stood tall. He looked into the camera and said, "We are not the strongest, not the fastest, not the oldest. But we remember. And we rise." Then the ship exploded. The screen went black. Carell sat frozen. She had never seen courage like that. Never. Not in any alien fleet. Not in any Alliance war file. And she knew. This was the history they erased. She checked her map. There was one place left to go. An old moon, once used as a human listening post, now abandoned, now forbidden. Moon 17X, Whisper Base. She changed course. Hours later, her ship landed on the dusty surface of the moon. The base was hidden inside a mountain, its doors sealed for centuries. But Carol found an old override panel. She placed her hand on the scanner. To her surprise, it opened. "Why?" she asked aloud. Zero replied, "Your DNA shows traces of hybrid markers." "What does that mean?" "Unknown. But it is possible. You have Terran blood." Carell stepped back, shocked. Her father had always been a mystery. He died in a crash when she was young. No one ever told her where he came from. Was it possible? She shook the thought away. "One mystery at a time," she whispered, then entered the base. Inside, it was cold, dark, and dead. But as she moved deeper, lights began to turn on, one by one, like something remembered her, or was expecting her. She entered the central chamber. In the middle was a large metal chair, more like a throne. Next to it, a round table covered in dust. Old data pads, maps, books. She picked up one. It was titled, "The Last War, Truth Before Silence." Her hands shook as she opened it. The book was full of stories. Human stories. Battles no one talked about. Peace offers that were rejected. Betrayals from Alliance leaders. They didn't win the war against humans. They forced a false peace. They erased them, buried their memory. Carol felt sick. "Zero," she said. "Record everything. The galaxy needs to know." Then the lights turned red. Warning. Intruder detected. Carell spun around. A tall figure stood in the shadows of the room. Not alien. Human. He stepped forward, calm and slow. His eyes glowed faintly. His voice was deep. You came. Carell backed away. Who are you? I am Sentinel-9, last guardian of Whisper Base. I have waited for 301 years. Waited for what? For someone like you. Why me? Because you are not blind, you seek truth. And now, you must decide what to do with it. She stared at him. Are the Terrans coming back? They never left, he said, but they only return when the galaxy is ready. And if it isn't? He looked up. Then the galaxy will break itself. Carell left the base with one thing in her mind. The truth was bigger than her. The Terrans had survived in the shadows. They had watched history change. They had waited, but something had changed. They were moving now, and she had seen what others were afraid to see. Humans were not just soldiers. They were storms, and the storm was coming. The Alliance's fear in the great halls of the Alliance Council. Silence fell like a hammer. A new report had just arrived. Terran signal detected. A high-ranking officer placed the report on the center table. It was still warm from the printer. The others looked at it like it was cursed. Admiral Tsava, a reptilian commander, hissed. This cannot be true. It is confirmed, said the AI advisor. Visuals, partial comms, field reports. The Terrans have returned. A thin insect-like diplomat shivered. This is not possible. They were destroyed. An elder from the Avarin species, one of the Alliance founders, spoke softly, but his voice shook the room. We never destroyed them. We buried them. Meanwhile, Carol's name echoed across Alliance space. Wanted, charged with trespassing, stealing classified data and spreading dangerous lies. Some called her a traitor. Others called her something worse, a Terran sympathizer. But deep in the shadows of the galaxy, others were listening and remembering. Small groups, outcasts, rebels, scholars, began whispering the old name again. Human. The stories returned, of soldiers who never surrendered, of ships that could vanish like ghosts, of cities built on dead moons, of a people who fought gods and won. On her ship, Carell watched the message. It was from a secret network, old resistance code. They know you found them, said the masked voice. And now they're afraid. Afraid of what? She asked. Of history. The Alliance held an emergency meeting. Admiral Tsava stood before the leaders. He activated a hidden file, one locked for over 3 centuries. The title, Project Eclipse. Screens lit up. A secret truth, buried since the Terran War. Not all humans died. In the final battle, when the Alliance thought they had won, something happened. The Terrans disappeared, not destroyed, not defeated. They chose to vanish. They activated ancient gates, pre-human technology hidden inside dying stars. They entered deep space, uncharted zones, forgotten systems. They didn't run. They waited. They watched. And now, they were returning. They are a myth no longer, said Sava. We must act before they move. The room argued. If we strike first, it will start a war. If we wait, it will be too late. We could negotiate. You don't negotiate with legends. A voice interrupted them all. It came from a speaker in the ceiling. Calm, cold, terrifying. You already lost when you chose to forget us. The room froze. The voice continued. This is not a threat. This is memory. And memory always returns. Then the lights went out. Just for 5 seconds. But when they came back, one line was left glowing on the main screen. The Terrans are awake. Carell's ship drifted in silence. She knew now that she could not run forever. 0, she said. Are we being tracked? Yes. Multiple ships. Alliance war-class vessels. She sighed. Of course. But before she could say more, something flashed across her radar. A new ship. Massive. Beautiful. Deadly. Sleek black armor. Glowing blue engines. Silent. Identity? She asked. 0 answered slowly. Unknown. but similar to the cruiser you saw before. The ship moved, between Carol and the Alliance hunters. Then, one by one, the enemy ships lost power. Lights off, weapons offline. Engines dead. Carell stared. What just happened? Unknown, said Zero. But the Terran ship just protected us. Her screen blinked. Incoming message. She opened it. A simple voice. You are not alone. Far across, the stars in an ancient system lost to time, the Terrans gathered, ships the size of cities, weapons never seen before, machines that moved like shadows. But they did not prepare for war. They prepared for something else. Return. The human leader stood in a dark chamber, facing a circle of light. Phase 1 complete, he said. A voice responded. The galaxy remembers us now. Yes, he said. But they still fear us. They always did. Then we give them something new. What? He smiled. Hope. And somewhere in a quiet system, on a forgotten world, a young child looked up at the stars. She whispered a name she did not understand, but she felt it. Human. Terran message. The message came without warning. No ships, no alarms, no signals, just a voice. It reached every corner of the galaxy at the same time, through screens, radios, holograms, even dreams. The Terrans were speaking. Carell was aboard, a small asteroid station when it happened. She was hiding, waiting for repairs. Then, without a sound, the air changed. The screens on her ship flickered. Then the voice spoke. Soft. Clear. Human. We were silent. Not gone. The room seemed to freeze. We watched you forget. Rewrite the past. Call us monsters, heroes, myths. We were none of those things, and all of them. Images followed the voice. Ruins of Earth. Terran warships rising from oceans. Burning cities. Smiling children. Old battles. Handshakes between enemies. And the stars. Carell sat down slowly. You erased us, buried us, hunted our name. But we were never your enemy. We were your mirror. On the Alliance capital world, the message echoed through giant towers. Admirals dropped their cups. Diplomats froze mid-sentence. Children pointed at the sky. No one knew how to respond. One high leader, Counselor Veth, leaned forward. This is a declaration. Of war? Someone asked. Of presence, she replied. The voice continued. We return now not with fire, but with memory. We remember who we are, but do you? On distant planets, people cried. Not in fear. In recognition. Small groups in hiding came out of caves. Old humans who survived in secret. Half-forgotten bloodlines, clones, hybrids, soldiers frozen in time, stood tall again. Even some aliens felt it, a spark inside their chest. They had read stories. Now they were living them. In space, Terran ships appeared in ancient orbits. They didn't attack. They didn't speak further. They just stood. Massive, powerful, untouchable. One by one, they positioned themselves over old battlegrounds, moons, dead colonies, forgotten systems, as if marking something, as if saying, we were here. We are here. Carell met the human commander again. Not in person, but through a projected mind space, something Terrans had developed long ago. A dark room filled with stars. He stood before her in the shape of memory, glowing slightly. You heard the message? He asked. Yes? And what do you feel? I don't know, she said. Fear, awe, shame. He nodded. Good. That means you're still alive inside. She looked at him. Why now? After all these years? His expression turned hard. Because the cracks are forming. The alliance is not built on peace. It's built on control. And that control is breaking. You want to destroy them? No. We want them to see themselves. We want them to choose. Choose what? He pointed to the stars. A future worth remembering. The alliance leaders panicked. Emergency meetings, fleet movements, orders to shoot any Terran vessel on sight. But it didn't work. Their weapons couldn't lock on. Their systems crashed near Terran ships. Nothing worked, and the humans still didn't attack. A message came from a resistance planet. We welcome the Terrans. Hours later, that planet was surrounded by Alliance warships. They gave an order: surrender the human envoys or face destruction. But before the attack began, the sky cracked. A single Terran ship appeared. Not a warship. Something stranger, smooth, round, glowing with light. And when it opened, it released no weapons. Just a sound, a heartbeat, and every Alliance ship in orbit lost power. Completely. They floated, useless, and the voice returned. You threatened those who listened. This is your last warning. We will not destroy, but we will protect. The galaxy does not belong to one voice. Let others speak. Carol stood on the edge of a cliff on the Resistance world, watching the sky. For the first time, she felt something she couldn't describe. Not fear, not sadness. Something else. Hope. She turned to the human envoy beside her. What now? He looked at the stars. Now they choose. Follow the past, or walk into the future. And if they choose war, he smiled softly, then they will learn what legends are truly made of. The betrayal. The galaxy was on fire, but not from war, from fear. Since the Terran message, everything had changed. The powerful felt weaker. The forgotten felt seen. The Alliance was cracking, not from attack, but from truth. They couldn't stop the message, they couldn't stop the ships. So now they would try something else, something darker. Carell returned to her homeworld, Orath 3, hidden under a new identity. She knew the Alliance would call her a traitor. She knew bounty hunters would be looking, but she had to return. Not just for safety, for answers. Her mother still lived there, a respected scientist who once worked for the Alliance archives. Carell had questions only she could answer. About the Terrans, about the truth, about her father. She landed on a rooftop under the dark sky of the city. Drones buzzed quietly above, scanning. Soldiers in silver armor patrolled below. The world had changed. It felt like a cage. Carell moved quickly, staying in the shadows. She reached her mother's old apartment, climbed through a side shaft, and entered through a hidden panel in the wall. Her mother was waiting, older now, eyes tired but alert. You shouldn't have come, she said. I had to, Carell replied. They stood in silence. Then Carell asked, was he one of them? Her mother nodded slowly. He was part human, she said. We never told you. We wanted to protect you, but the Alliance found out. Is that why he died? Her mother didn't answer, and Carell knew. It wasn't an accident. Later that night, Carell connected to the old archives her mother still had access to. Secret documents, hidden experiments, and one file marked Echo-Born Project. She opened it and froze. It was a list. Names. Hundreds. All hybrid children. Half alien, half human. Some were taken, some vanished. Some were executed in silence. She saw her name. Chiral. Subject 49A. The Alliance knew about her the whole time. As she stared at the screen, a soft knock came at the door. Her mother looked through the camera. A man stood outside. Clean uniform. A friend from Carell's past. Zoran, once her closest friend. Once a fellow pilot. He smiled gently. I heard you. We're back. Carell stepped outside to meet him, heart racing. Zoran, he held up a hand. I believe you, he said. I've seen the message. I know they're real. Carell felt relief wash over her. Finally, someone she could trust. They walked together under the city lights, speaking in whispers. Zoran told her about soldiers who had started to ask questions, about small groups inside the Alliance who secretly supported the Terrans. We want peace, he said, but the High Command only wants silence. Carell nodded. They'll kill to protect their lie. Zoran looked at her. Maybe it's time we stop them. 2 days later, She followed Zoran into an old hangar where a secret meeting was taking place. Pilots, scientists, diplomats, even a few from other species. They spoke in quiet voices about resistance, about truth, about building a bridge between humans and the rest of the galaxy. Karel felt hope again, but then her ship's AI, Zero, beeped in her ear. Warning, multiple heat signatures approaching. Fast. What? Karel whispered. Zoran looked at her, his face changed. Cold. Blank. I'm sorry, he said. Karel's blood turned to ice. He stepped back, and the doors exploded. Alliance soldiers stormed in. Guns raised. Chaos. Karel grabbed her sidearm and pulled her mother behind cover. Some people fought, some screamed, some were killed instantly. Zoran just watched. He had been working for the Alliance the whole time. You were the key, he said through the noise. We needed you to find the others, and you did. Karel's rage boiled. You betrayed us. No, he replied coldly. I protected order. She barely escaped. Her mother wounded, half the rebels dead, the rest taken. Zoran's voice followed her through the smoke and fire. This is the cost of remembering. Stop now, or you'll lose everything. But Karel didn't stop. She went deeper into hiding. She knew now what the Alliance feared most. Not the Terrans, not their ships. The idea that someone might believe in them. In a distant system, a Terran vessel picked up a faint signal, encrypted, fractured. But one line was clear. They betrayed us from within, but we are not broken. We are rising. The Terran commander turned to his crew. Prepare Phase 2. Contact? He nodded. Karel. She's ready. And far above, in the cold, dark sky, a shadow moved. Not Alliance, not Rebel. Something older, a ship built before maps, a human design lost for centuries, and it was waking up. The return of legends, the sky above Orath 3 burned red. The Alliance had declared open war on all Terran sympathizers. Resistance cells across dozens of systems were being hunted. Arrests, raids, executions. They didn't fear the Terrans' weapons. They feared belief. Karel stood on a rooftop watching ships swarm above her city. Her face was tired, her arm bandaged, her heart still racing from the betrayal. Her mother was safe, hidden far away. But peace was gone. The Alliance had crossed the line, and now, they had awakened something they could not control. In deep space, the first Terrans moved, not in anger. In precision, they didn't send fleets. They didn't bomb cities. They simply appeared, over capital worlds, near Alliance fortresses, inside restricted space, one by one, massive ships, old symbols, no sound, just presence, and everywhere they went. Silence followed, weapons jammed, communications failed, battleships froze in mid-flight, and the voice returned. You were warned. We came not for war. We came to remember. But you chose fear. Karel met the Terran commander again. This time in person. The meeting happened on a neutral moon, once a prison, now empty. He stepped out of his ship, tall, armored, silent. His eyes were gray like storm clouds, his face worn by time. You called us legends, he said. But we are only memory. Karel looked at him. Then why return now? He turned his eyes to the stars. Because legends are born when truth is buried too deep. He handed her a small device. This contains the full archive, every erased chapter, every silenced voice, every act of peace the Alliance hid. You want me to release it? No. I want you to choose. Why? Me? Because you're one of us. Karel blinked. You don't mean blood, she whispered. No, he said. I mean belief. At the same time, on the Alliance capital world, panic spread. A new Terran ship had entered orbit, larger than any ever seen. Not a warship. Something else. Its design was not military. It looked like a temple. Lights spiraled across its hull like Stars, people stared. Even the Alliance fleet didn't fire. They simply watched. And then it opened. Not a weapon, a door, and from it walked humans, not soldiers, not generals. Elders, children, artists, historians, hybrids, those thought extinct. They didn't carry guns. They carried books. They carried memories. And behind them came a single message, broadcast across the stars. We do not return to conquer. We return to remind you who you are. The Alliance tried one last move. They launched Operation Final Silence, a command to wipe out all Terran-linked systems. Their fleets moved fast, but they never reached their targets, because something else arrived. Not Terran ships, Terrans and aliens. Together. Karel stood at the bridge of one such ship. Beside her, a human pilot, a former Alliance defector, and even a machine intelligence thought lost to time. We're not just fighting back, she said. We're changing the story. Her fleet moved with speed the Alliance had never seen, not to destroy, to disable, precision attacks, no casualties, ships disarmed, not exploded, cities shielded, not attacked. The galaxy saw it. The difference. One side fought with fear, the other with purpose. Finally, the Alliance broadcast a global statement. We surrender. But the Terrans didn't celebrate, they only said we accept peace if it is built on truth. Months passed. The archive was released. Carol led the broadcast from her own voice. The galaxy learned the truth. About the war. About the cover-ups. About Project Eclipse. About the betrayal of peace long ago. Some Alliance leaders were arrested. Others fled. A few joined the rebuilding. A new council was formed, with Terrans, aliens, hybrids, and independents. They called it the Unified Memory Pact. Its motto was simple: never again forgotten. On a quiet day, Karel visited Earth, the home of the year. Legends. She walked through ruined cities now growing green again. She stood before a stone carved with one sentence: we disappeared not to be feared, but to be remembered the right way. A soft voice spoke behind her, the Terran commander. You've done well, he said. She smiled. I didn't do it alone. He looked at the stars. No legend is ever alone. They stood in silence, watching a new dawn rise, and in distant space a new child looked to the stars, not with fear, but with wonder, and whispered a word that now meant something different, something powerful, human.